So today we are going to do indexes lower than 1. The only simple index that we have tried is 0. Or maybe decimal values, semi-decimal values, something like 0.1, 0.2 of an index, 0.3, 0.4, 0.4 index, and we'll see what happens. So if you make a part with 0, it automatically corrects to 1. But never I told you what I could do is I could make an index with 0. An index at 0. So make part 1. Run the dex command. And what I'm going to do is change the index handle from 1 to 0. And then go on AH_index, change that to 0, and change the value to 0. Then I will run the btools command, save it as, well, I'll call it the no name build as it's a test build, but because I managed to call the no name build, I glitched it. It's really easy. And then we will load the build with no name. And we'll see what the hell happens when I run it. It actually works. I can actually run terrain part 0 water and then execute that. Like, what the hell? I can run an index with 0 on it. But now, how about I make it so then I can now make another index with part index 1 and maybe try 0.1 like that. And then do 0.1 on there. Wouldn't do it yet, but it'll do 0.1 on there. And yeah, because the scripts don't work, I could delete it, delete AH_index, save the build as an alt255, delete it, load an no-name build, and we'll see if we can do a 0.1 index, like terrain part 0.1 water. Temporarily, this doesn't work because the part hasn't even gotten indexed just yet. So how can we index 0? It's because the game was limited to have 1 to 100,000 index. Starting in admin house 3.4 something, it was around. So I scroll down. We're gonna scroll all the way down. To index. So you scroll all the way down, it's usually to around like 3.3.10, and it says part indexing v1.0 is ready. But it says it goes up to 1 to 100,000. And it's an ID. So index is going to be called ID. So 3.3.10 came out on July the 10th, 2024. It nearly as marks as nearly the 2 years of index on Lemon House. By the way. But we're not done yet. We can actually index 0. But the only way I'll index 0 is I go on to dex and change its value from 0, and I go on its script here where it actually isn't a script, but you go on there, and I could change the index to 0, so I type 0 on there as minimal value. But then, I could save the build, and then load it. Because it wouldn't work if you saved it first, because it wouldn't work like that. You have to save it first, and then you have to load it in. So, what I did is load an indexed 0 build. So, it has 0 index. It says, input the index. Type 0 to remove index. I didn't type 0, but it's actually on 0. No index. There's actually 0 index in the game itself. I managed to glitch it all out. And this is because they have never mentioned that I could index 0. So, it is possible to index 0 unless you have dex. But, however, I managed to glitch this as well as indexing 10 million. Now, you could go higher than 10 million as well too. No more higher than this is possible. I can index the same exact part. So I'm going to open its properties, and we'll change that to like 15 zeros. There's probably nowhere this is possible. And I'm going to index it this big. So that means it's being indexed to that, which is insane. But then, all we need to do again is save the build. And this time, I've called it 100 trillion index this time. So, as you might see, developer, you might see this. But devs might be able to do that glitch yet again. Instead of going higher than 100,000, we could go higher than like 100 trillion. So, I'll unload it now by deleting it. Don't need the loader because it's a no-name command. So, I'm going to load this. And then run a command. And look at this. This is 100 trillion. 100 trillion or something like that. And then when I execute it, it still works. This is unusual. We can index higher than its original value by changing it with dex. Like, what the hell? And I'm actually the only person to find this as well. Because you can't index lower than 0 and higher than 100,000. Lower than 1 and higher than 100,000. However, I managed to do this glitch by editing it with dex. But in a normal server, I could get it to port to a normal server by loading a saved part with the 1 million index on it, and then like something like 1 million to 100 trillion index and save it. There's about 952 trillion ways of indexing right there, because you can apparently index higher than its original value. The game has no limits. Index 0 is known as possible, but let's see how many commands will work in index 0. So, move part 0, exact 22, 22, 22. I can see that, it just moved. So, index 0 is possible on anything ever be recorded. Because its parameters, so there isn't a script, there isn't actually a script that prevents you from running a command as indexes higher than 100,000 or any higher than that value. And it's because the script of the adonis command actually runs through infinity, which means we can index higher than before. But now, how about even higher values? We're going to go 570,000 times higher than its original index limit 100,000. So, we'll try that, but we can go onto Dex, measure the index, and then change its indexing console from 10 to 10 E plus 307. I don't even know how this is possible. But this is weird. This is an overflowed 64-bit integer. And I do 10e minus 308 plus 307. Holy crap. I don't even know if this is possible. But I'm gonna paste this in. And we'll index negative. We're indexing negative, guys. I think we found a new glitch here. Index minus 9 quintillion. 9 quintillion index. 9 quintillion. That is around 9 quintillion lower than its original index. It's insane. And this time I'm going to save that as that test build again. And delete it. And we'll see if it can index negative. Because it never indexed negative before. Never ever tried it. No one ever tried this before. Terrain part. Minus 9 quintillion. Water. Holy crap, it actually worked! There's no friggin' way! It actually does work. Look at this index here. It's not even an index at all. This ain't even an index! Because it doesn't support overflows. We can index overflow too. That's actually weird. We can actually index lower than 0. And we can actually index negative. Part index minus 9 quintillion. Like, what the hell? Now, indexing letters isn't possible because if I do make part 5, change it to 2, and then save it, I wonder if I can index letters. I can index letters, I think. Could I index letters? No freaking way I can. No freaking way. Can I index letters? Terrain part 2 water. Doesn't even work anyway. Doesn't even work. Yeah, because it needs to script for that too. You can't get that to work. But I managed to actually get an index lower than minus 9 quintillion working. For real. Like, it doesn't even exist. Now, if you try and index normally, it wouldn't work because it doesn't work like that, as you can see here. So I can index minus 9 quintillion negative values without a possibility to do it without admin house scripting language. I can index -9 on here and then go on its core script, do -9, and then change the index to -9. Now, this value can support minus in the max value. So the minimal value is 0, which I would say its maximum value, but its maximum value is its minimum value of 9. So now, we have an index that is now officially lower than its supported value of indexing. We can index -9. Now, I might come up to indexing letters in the game, but it won't work like that. So, as you can see here, I'll index a number, and we'll see if I can index something like 2B as an index. And then we'll go on its properties to do 2 on there, but it wouldn't index like that. And also its minimum value wouldn't work like that. So, yep, it doesn't even work. I can't attempt to index letters. It's a value, not a string. Because a unit supports its values. So, it turns out that I can actually index lower than its supported value without even knowing how this is possible. Because indexing lower than 0 is absolutely possible with Dex. So anyways, like and subscribe, turn on notifications, and see you next time on next videos.